Hey y'all, welcome back to Convos with Bree. I'm Bree, BREE, and today is day 103 of the Visibility Challenge. Today, I cannot stop thinking about thoughts, the way that we influence the unknown in our own lives. Right now, I have absolutely no idea where I'm going to be in 2 weeks from now, what life will look like. I don't know if I will be here or there. I don't know what is going to happen. There are so many things up in the air right now. And I'm actually really grateful for this because I have felt this over and over and over again at so many different points in my life. And for a long time, I just flowed with it. I was rocking it. I just knew that life would work out for me, and it did. I had fun in those moments. I was free. It didn't matter. I just trusted completely. And then I lost that ability. Too many things happened all at once that made me start to see it differently. And it didn't feel like I could really trust that way of being any longer. I didn't think life was working out for me anymore. It kind of felt like I used up all of my allotted, everything's going to work out. And then it just, everything felt hard. Everything felt like it was way harder than it had to be. The people around me were way harder than they had to be. And I just didn't really feel like I could even talk to many people about what I was going through. It felt a lot safer to just tuck it all away because there were just a lot of things that pointed at don't let people in, don't trust them, keep yourself small, and just sneak through. And once I started really looking at all of this differently, I started realizing that the safety system that I built internally was actually just now what was the system that was keeping me small. It was keeping me from being more of myself. It was keeping me isolated. And I'm really realizing now how much of an effect my thoughts have on that. How much the way that my emotions have an effect on that. And how much my fear truly affects how I move. Now here I am again in this place where I thought we had everything figured out. And I thought that this is what life wanted for me. But it is once again showing me that it might not be. Maybe this was just temporary. Maybe this was just meant to be short term. So now I'm back in the complete unknown. And this time I am just seeing where it feels hard. It feels harder than it has to be. I'm seeing who around me is influencing that, what thoughts are influencing that, what scenarios I'm spinning. And that is actually allowing me to see the effect of others on my nervous system, on my thoughts, of all of it. It is allowing me to see how my unconscious energy is coming to the surface. It is allowing me to see things that I previously have missed and have previously, if I started to get a little bit of an inkling that these were coming up, I pushed them back down. I can see my own responsibility in the way I allow things to affect me and the way that I allow my nervous system to go back to this pattern that I have created intentionally to keep me safe. But I don't need that same safety that I once did anymore. Now I'm in a different seat. I'm at a different vantage point. And now I accept the opportunities to be challenged. I accept the opportunities to step into the unknown, and I accept the opportunities to change internally. So when I notice, oh, my mood is being affected by somebody else's fears, I can allow myself to say, this isn't for you to take on personally. This is for you to hear them, to let it be valid, to let them have their own wonders and worries and all of this, to let their fear come up to the surface. Just because it also involves me too does not mean that I can't still be a safe space for somebody to feel their feels. It can't be all or nothing here. And the more that I can allow people to just bring their fears to the surface and be honest about them, the more I can allow myself to feel what truth exists within me. What fears are they bringing up that's also saying, ooh, I have some of that. Ooh, I've been pushing some of that down. That feels true to me too. Then we can go through it together. We can feel it together, and then we can let it off of us together. We can come to a place where now we both feel a little more confident, a little more honest, a little more secure within ourselves because we are allowing ourselves to be honest about it. I think that's absolutely beautiful. I think that that is absolutely what we need more of. So now I'm looking at the unknown and I'm still scared. I'm still nervous. I'm still like, whew, every time I feel myself feeling overwhelmed, I gotta give myself a beat to feel overwhelmed. And then I have to check back in and remind myself of present day. Present day self is exceptional at meeting the unknown, at meeting the opportunities, at meeting the challenges. Present day self is doing exceptionally well on the inside. And I don't know the unknown as this version of myself. I don't know who I will be in anything as this version of myself because I've never been this version of myself before. I've never had this many pieces feel like they are in place, this many opportunities that have been created in everything that I have been doing. I have never had this drive before, this entire process behind me before. And it's funny because I could have missed this. I have before. After I wrote the books, after I started the blog, after I started the original podcast, I didn't allow myself to feel any of that success. I didn't allow myself to consistently stay in the understanding that I did these things. Somewhere deep down, I still felt like it wasn't me that did them, or it just had like a sense of falseness around it. I didn't feel like I was deserving of being the person who had accomplished these things. And I felt like if I was the one that did it, it must not be that great. And that is such a bummer place to be. That is such a insecure place to be. And it's not fun. It's really not fun because it doesn't matter what you do. You hit a point where you're realizing it will never be enough. You cannot possibly accomplish anything that will change the way you feel about yourself. That's not where that comes from. It is being honest. I had to be honest that I wasn't allowing myself to promote or to be wrapped up in the excitement of it because I just felt like such an imposter. I felt like something would happen and all of it would break. Or if I got excited and I allowed myself to be in it like that and to promote it and to believe in myself, I thought that there would be so many people that didn't believe in me that it would start to just feel stupid. It would feel so silly. It would feel absolutely ridiculous. And I thought I would fail in front of the entire world. And I just felt like I could not handle that. And now I'm at this point because I have done the internal work and I'm consistently doing internal work and I am getting better and better every single day. And like I said yesterday, I have stepped into this advanced beginner mentality where I know my shit. I know so much. And I have such a different perspective than anyone I've ever met. And I've never honestly met anyone in the last few years that haven't thought that I brought something to the table. And honestly, I've never had anyone that mattered not understand that I bring things to the table. That was never where the issue was at. A lot of times I brought too much to the table. And people didn't respect me or treat me well because they didn't respect or treat themselves well. And I was making things personal that was really just a show of how much they struggled internally. But I couldn't see it then. So then instead of helping, we fought or we fell out or bad things came from it. Or when I did try to stick up for myself, they couldn't handle any type of confrontation. And so instead of us transitioning this conversation into something that was bridging a gap, it was meeting in the middle for both of us. We just couldn't go on anymore. We couldn't be in each other's lives because they didn't know how to meet me in the middle and I didn't know how to help. I didn't know how to not take it personally. And everyone around me didn't know how to not take it personally. So it was escalating on all sides. That's the only time in my life that I've really had anything negative in a communication standpoint. It's just we aren't seeing eye to eye and neither one of us knew how to make it not personal and take the emotion off the table. Because that's really what you have to do in those situations is you have to be able to take emotion off the table. And I learned how to do that before a lot of the people around me learned how to do that. So then I knew it was my responsibility to do it first in a lot of situations. And I felt incredibly resentful about that because I was tired of being the only one that had to go first. I was tired of always being the one that had to be the bigger person per se. And I just wanted the people around me to be able to do that too, so that when I couldn't, they could. But that was not happening. And I was so resentful. And instead of being so thrilled that I knew how to use this tool, I knew this tool existed within me. I knew how to get there. I knew why I should get there. I knew everything, y'all. But my emotions were still so stubborn, and they just flat out did not want to be the bigger person. And in those moments, that's where I felt like an imposter. Like, I was not consistently who I said I was, because I wasn't. Because out of the blue, I could just have a moment where I just couldn't go first. And it took me a long time to be able to break through that. Every once in a great while, I will still struggle there. And it's so silly and so ridiculous after the fact. And I look at it and I just can see it so clearly. But when I'm in it, it can be so cloudy. But I have come so far, and now I know that the likeliness that that is going to happen is so low. It is so rare, because now I not only understand why I do it, but I also understand why I don't resent anymore, why I don't take it personally, why I let go of that version of myself. That version of myself just isn't who I am. It doesn't feel good. Nothing about it makes me feel good. Nothing about those moments made me feel more connected to others, to myself, to where I'm going, to my goals, to my dreams. It just wasn't worth it. The resentment and the exhaustion, I had to see that I was choosing those things. All I had to do in the moment was stop. I just had to take a breath. I had to recenter, remember why I want peace, why I'm working towards peace, why I have all these tools, why I am the way that I am, where I am right now, present day, where I am going, how this helps me feel, how I feel when I'm resentful versus how I feel when I'm not, how I feel when I'm claiming I'm exhausted versus understanding that I'm exhausting myself by not using the tools that I know I have. So now every time I feel myself sliding into that personal attack mode, I stop everything. I remember who I am right now. I remember why that feels good. And then I choose better choices. I choose better responses, thoughts, questions. I choose better everything. If I need space, I take it. I communicate better. I communicate my needs. There are even times when I just straight out say, this conversation does not feel good on this side. I need to take a beat. Let's resume in 5 minutes. And that gives us both a chance to recenter. And that always leads somewhere better. Even if it's not resolved, it always leads somewhere better. That is what it's all about. Micro moves. micro shifts, micro awareness. And after you make all these little micro changes, they build into this mega change, into this understanding that is connective within. It is just like piece after piece after piece falls into place. That is worth it. That makes me more of who I am. That makes me more of where I want to go. It makes me more consistent. It makes me happier. It makes me more peaceful. It helps my nervous system. It helps everything. It helps me reroute the system I've built, make some upgrades. And it just makes me more me. Makes me feel more alive, more free. And that has felt better than ever being right. That has felt better than ever winning any argument. I'm never trying to win. I'm just trying to reach an understanding. And you can't reach an understanding if you're trying to be right. If you assume you know what they are trying to say. Because most of the time that assumption, while it has some truth, it also has non-truth. It's also internally things that they're struggling with and externally struggling with. That's why it's coming out the way it's coming out. We could all bridge some gaps. We could all be more peaceful. And I found that the more that I was willing to lead in those moments, the more people were able to follow in those moments. They were able to see their own reactions, their own thoughts, their own assumptions, all of it. And then they started to make micro changes. And then pretty soon, none of us were responding the same way. None of us were thinking the same way. We all had more peace. We all had more alignment within. And how beautiful is that? That is all we can really ask for, I feel like. That is true growth together. And it's everybody winning. That's the stuff I like. Everybody winning. All right, y'all. That wraps up day 103. Remember, you can pop on over to convoswithbree.com. Everything is there for you. I hope we have a beautiful day. And remember, it's okay to be here now because nothing that is meant for you is going to miss you.